What if I told you that once upon a time, God looked at humanity and regretted creating them? That the same God who breathed stars into existence and sculpted mountains from nothing stood back and felt grief so deep, he decided to wipe the slate clean. This isn't just an ancient story about a boat and animals. It's about the moment when divine patience ran dry, when mercy collided with judgment, and when one man's faith became the thread holding humanity's future together. In the beginning, after Adam and Eve, humanity multiplied across the earth. Cities grew, families expanded, but something else multiplied too. Wickedness spread like rot through wood, seeping into every corner of human existence. Violence became normal. Evil thoughts filled every heart from morning until night. The earth that God once called good was now corrupted, twisted beyond recognition. Genesis tells us something shocking. God saw what humanity had become, and he was grieved in his heart. Think about that for a moment. The creator of everything felt sorrow over what his creation had chosen to become. This wasn't anger born from pettiness. This was the heartbreak of a father watching his children destroy themselves and each other. So God made a decision. He would send a flood to cover the earth, to cleanse it of the corruption that had taken root. Every living thing would be swept away, but there was one man who stood out from the rest. His name was Noah. Scripture describes Noah with three simple words: righteous, blameless, and he walked with God. In a world drowning in moral chaos, Noah remained faithful. He wasn't perfect, but he was different. While everyone else pursued their own desires, Noah pursued God. And that made all the difference. God came to Noah with instructions that must have sounded absolutely insane. Build an ark, a massive boat, use gopher wood, make it 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, 30 cubits high, cover it inside and out with pitch, create 3 decks with rooms throughout, include a window at the top and a door on the side. Now picture this from Noah's perspective. He lived far from any ocean. There had never been a flood like this before. Rain itself was likely unfamiliar. Yet God was commanding him to build a vessel large enough to house thousands of animals, his entire family, and supplies for over a year. The dimensions alone were staggering, roughly the size of 1.5 football fields in length. But here's what gets me. God didn't just give Noah a construction project. He gave him a warning wrapped in a promise. I am going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy every creature under the heavens. Everything on earth will perish, but I will establish my covenant with you. Judgment and mercy in the same breath. Noah could have argued. He could have questioned. He could have looked around at the bright sky and laughed it off. Instead, Genesis records something profound. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. Imagine the years that followed. Most scholars estimate the ark took between 50 and 75 years to build. 75 years of sawing, hammering, sealing. 75 years of neighbors mocking him. Can you picture the ridicule, the whispers? There goes crazy Noah again, building his boat to nowhere. Children probably threw stones. Adults probably called him a fool. But Noah kept building. While he worked, God's patience continued. 2 Peter tells us God was waiting, giving humanity chance after chance to turn back. Noah wasn't just a boat builder during this time. He was a preacher of righteousness, warning people of what was coming. Yet no one listened. No one changed. The world kept spinning in its corruption, blind to the storm gathering on the horizon. Then came the moment everything shifted. God told Noah the time had arrived. Gather your family, bring the animals, 2 of every kind, male and female, 7 pairs of clean animals, 1 pair of unclean. Bring birds of the air, store up food for everyone. And they came. This is one of the most remarkable details. Noah didn't chase down lions or wrangle elephants. God brought them to the ark. They walked through that door by divine orchestration, pair by pair, species by species. The zebras and the wolves, the eagles and the sparrows, creatures that would normally hunt each other stood side by side, guided by something beyond instinct. Noah was 600 years old when he entered the ark with his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. 8 people total. 8 souls who would carry humanity's future through the coming destruction. Then God himself shut the door. 7 days passed. The sky remained clear. Perhaps some outside laughed, thinking Noah's prediction had failed. Maybe they celebrated, convinced the old man had finally been proven wrong. But on the 7th day, something happened that had never occurred in human history. The sky broke open. All the springs of the great deep burst forth. The floodgates of the heavens opened. Rain pounded the earth with relentless fury. Not a drizzle, not a storm. A deluge that would continue for 40 days and 40 nights without stopping. Water erupted from below and above simultaneously, as if creation itself was being unmade. Outside the ark, chaos erupted. People who had mocked Noah for decades suddenly realized he had been right all along. They ran, they climbed, they searched desperately for high ground, but there was nowhere to go. The water kept rising, 15 cubits above the highest mountains, covering everything. Inside the ark, Noah and his family felt the vessel lift from the ground. Everything they had ever known was being erased outside those pitch-sealed walls. Every friend, every neighbor, every person who had rejected God's warning was gone. What if I told you that everything you thought you knew about Noah's flood was only the beginning of the story? The ark drifted on an endless ocean. For 150 days, water covered the earth. 5 months of floating above a drowned world. Think about that. 5 months sealed inside a massive wooden vessel with animals, the smell, the sounds, the constant motion. No land in sight. No sun to mark the days clearly through the storm. Just water stretching to every horizon. But Noah wasn't abandoned. Genesis tells us something crucial. God remembered Noah. That phrase matters. It doesn't mean God forgot and suddenly recalled. In Hebrew, to remember means to act with intention and care. God was actively watching over that ark and everyone inside it. Then God sent a wind across the earth, and the waters began to recede. The springs of the deep closed, the floodgates of heaven shut. Slowly, gradually, the water level dropped. On the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Can you imagine that moment? The first time in months they felt stillness, the vessel no longer rocking. They had touched solid ground, but they couldn't leave yet. The mountaintops became visible on the first day of the 10th month, but water still covered everything else. Noah waited. 40 more days passed. Then Noah opened the window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven. It flew back and forth, finding nowhere to land, circling endlessly over the water. So Noah tried something different. He sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground, but the dove found no place to set its feet and returned to the ark. Noah reached out his hand and took the dove back inside. He waited 7 more days. Patience defined Noah's character. He didn't rush. He didn't force his own timing. He waited for God's. After 7 days, Noah sent the dove out again. This time, when the dove returned in the evening, there was a freshly plucked olive leaf in its beak. Hope. Life was returning to the earth. Plants were growing again. The world was being reborn. Noah waited another 7 days and sent the dove out a 3rd time. This time, it did not return. It had found a home. The earth was ready. Noah removed the covering from the ark and looked out. The surface of the ground was dry. Nearly a year had passed since the floodwaters came. 377 days inside that ark. But still, Noah waited. He didn't step out until God gave the command. Finally, God spoke. "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it." Picture that scene. The doors opening wide, sunlight streaming in, fresh air after a year of confinement, animals pouring out onto the mountainside, scattering across the earth, birds taking flight into open skies. Noah's family stepping onto solid ground, breathing in the new world. The first thing Noah did was build an altar to the Lord. Not a house for himself, not a celebration feast, an altar. He took some of the clean animals and birds and sacrificed burnt offerings. Worship was his priority. Gratitude filled his heart. God had saved them. God had been faithful. God deserved the first moment of this new beginning. The aroma pleased the Lord, and God made a promise that would echo through all generations. "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans. Never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease." Then God blessed Noah and his sons. "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth." The same command given to Adam in the garden was now given to Noah. Humanity had a second chance, a fresh start. God established a covenant with Noah, with his descendants, and with every living creature. "I will never again destroy the earth with a flood." And as a sign of this promise, God set something in the clouds, a rainbow. "Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures." Every time you see a rainbow, you're witnessing God's promise, his faithfulness, his mercy. Noah's story isn't just about judgment, it's about grace. God could have started over completely, creating new people from dust. Instead, he preserved Noah. He saved a remnant. He provided a way of escape for those who would trust him. The ark points us towards something greater. Just as Noah's family found salvation through the ark, we find salvation through Jesus Christ. The door of the ark was open for years while Noah preached, but eventually God closed it. Today, God's offer of grace through Jesus remains open, but one day, that door will close too. Jesus himself said, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." People were eating, drinking, marrying, completely unaware until the flood came and took them all away. The question is simple. When God offers you a way of salvation, will you take it? Or will you ignore the warning like the generation that perished? Noah teaches us that God is both just and merciful. He will judge sin, but he always provides a way of escape for those who seek him. Noah's story isn't just ancient history locked in the pages of Genesis. It's a mirror held up to every generation, including ours. It reveals something uncomfortable but true. God takes sin seriously. He doesn't wink at corruption or shrug off violence. Justice is part of his character, but woven into that same character is breathtaking mercy. He didn't have to save anyone. He chose to preserve Noah. He chose to offer a way out. That's the tension we live in today. God's patience continues, giving us time to turn back, to seek him, to walk through the door he's opened. But patience has a limit. The flood teaches us that judgment will come, and when it does, it will be complete and unavoidable. Yet even in that sobering reality, there's hope. God always provides rescue for those who trust him. The rainbow still appears in the sky, reminding us of God's promise and His faithfulness. And just as the ark saved Noah's family from physical destruction, Jesus offers us salvation from spiritual death. The door is open now. The question is whether we'll step through it before it closes. If you'd like to hear more stories from the Bible, be sure to subscribe for more. Join us as we continue this journey, one story at a time.